Hello YouTube, I'm back with another video and today we're going to be discussing Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, which I recently reread. So if you haven't read the first book, Fourth Wing, I highly recommend you do that before watching this video or you'll get major spoilers and you'll be all confused and stuff. So go read it and check out my book talk about it. I'm going to link it in the description. So bye-bye. Bye-bye, non-spoiler people. Bye. Okay. So I actually reread this book because Onyx Storm, which is like the third book, as most people know, just came out. And at the time of filming this, I have not read it. So don't you dare put spoilers in my comment section. Okay? That's mean. Don't do it. Thank you. Okay, now just by looking at, I have the physical book actually right next to me. It is much thicker, like she a thick queen. So that means more story. Yay! Anyway, for those needing a quick refresher, we last left off in the last book with Violet getting mended from the poison dagger. It basically like shish kebabbed her and she was like about to die or whatever. And she and Xaden were on the outs because he lied to her about being in cahoots with the Flyers and lied about the whole like rebellion and everything. And now she's doubting her feelings for him and she thinks that her relationship was built on like a lie. And so she's like,
oh, does he even love me? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, and also her dead brother who we thought was dead. The first book basically built him up to be dead. Isn't actually dead. He just shows up in the last chapter at the end being like, "Welcome to the rebellion, Violet." Like, okay. Cool. That's awesome. The first thing I noticed when I read this book was the disclaimer. Like, Fourth Wing did not have a disclaimer. I don't know. I thought that Fourth Wing should probably have a disclaimer because of the freaking emotional turmoil at the end of the book. Justice for Liam. Let me just read you guys this long-ass disclaimer, okay?
Iron Flame is a non-stop, thrilling adventure fantasy set in a brutal, competitive world of a military college for dragon riders, which includes elements regarding war, psychological and physical torture, imprisonment, intense violence, brutal injuries, perilous situations, blood, dismemberment, burning, murder, death, animal death, graphic language, loss of family, grief, and sexual activities that are shown on the page. Readers who may be sensitive to these elements, please take note and prepare to join the revolution.
And immediately, after reading the disclaimer, I was like, we gonna get into some shit in this book. Like death, torture. Will I cry in this book? Spoiler, yes. Yes, I did. And let me tell you why. Even though we didn't really get to see much of Violet's mom in the first book, we got to know her like a little bit more in this one. And sure, she was like a raging bitch, but when like Violet got out of torture, you know, after being tortured by Varric, her mom just seemed to be worried. Like, you know, like a mom should. And Xaden casually is just like, I killed everyone. And she just nods. So she should be like upset, you know. I thought she was gonna be upset, like,
oh my god, you killed everyone.
But she was like,
I get it. Yep, me too. I would have done the same thing.
Kind of thing. You know what I mean? So like she does care about her children. It's just like in a really fucked up way. Like she let Violet and the rest of them leave Basgiath because it was what was best for her children. They probably would have been imprisoned if like the rest of the college had managed to capture all of them. Not that they could have, because like Taryn and Sigale are such badasses. I doubt that they would even let them be captured, but it would have been a really bad situation if they had been captured. So she also gave Xaden like a quadrant at the beginning, like before the first book that we didn't see. She gave Xaden a quadrant to allow his marked ones a chance to survive at Basgiath. And in return, Xaden was to protect Violet in her first year in the Riders Quadrant. Which is why Xaden didn't kill her the first night that she eavesdropped. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Eavesdropped on him and his marked ones while she was like hiding in the tree. Remember in like the first book? And of course, Violet being her stupid ass self. Dude, Violet pissed me off in this book. Ooh. She was like,
Did he only keep me alive because of a deal? Does he even really love me? Wah, 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 wah.
I'm not going to even talk about the whole like them switching places thing. Like Xaden's all lovey-dovey now and adorable, and Violet has to find a whole problem, which is kind of funny because she wanted him to be like that in the first book, but now she's all like,
No, I can't trust you. No, you don't tell me shit.
and like that whole argument about her not asking him questions, like how Xaden was like,
You should just ask me questions and I'll tell you.
like, bro, just ask him a damn question, Violet. Like he's literally telling you how it's gonna be. And I get that he has trust issues. That makes sense because of like her mom and like all that we learned in the first book, you know? So I get why he's like a little reserved, right? And she does. She like ends up asking him a question, which she eventually finds out that Xaden isn't intrinsic. Like I was not expecting that. Like I wasn't expecting that to be his like second signet. I didn't even think he was gonna get a second signet. I just assumed he was gonna go like mad in future books or something because Sigale, like he is a direct descendant of her previous writer and stuff, and so I thought he was just gonna go mad, like he's just gonna go crazy, which he technically still could. Like there's that possibility, right? Anyway, I totally got off topic. I was talking about Violet's mom. She also like handled Brennan's death and later her husband's in like a fucked up way with the whole like Xaden's back thing, like tearing it up and whatnot. And like Brennan grew to hate her because of all those things that she did. Not to mention she basically like abandoned him when he was younger to like chase down her own like political like ambitions and to move up in like the military ranks and whatnot. Anyway, I could literally talk about how terrible this woman is, but we'd be here forever. Like we just that would be the whole video. And I don't want that to be the whole video. But my point being is that her death was really sad. And I wasn't sad for her dying because I don't, yeah, obviously it shows that I don't give a two craps about her as like a character, as a person. What I cared about was the effect that it had on her children. Like Violet was screaming and crying to like stop her, and like Ulrich wouldn't let her. Was that his name? Ulrich? Arlick? Something like that. She couldn't even go to her, right? To stop her because she was being held back by that dude. And Brennan begging her not to. Like after we know that like he didn't like her, like he hated her, right? That also tore at me. But what tore at me the most was like Mira's reaction. Because I don't know why she was like blaming Brennan at the beginning, like when she walked into like the war chamber and whatnot. She was like,
What have you done? What have you done?
and I'm like assuming that's just because like he was the last one holding her and she just saw him holding her and thought that he did something or whatnot. Anyway, it was just really heart-wrenching and I cried. I cried. There was tears. Also, remember Dane? My hatred for Dane? He gets like a redemption in this book, like a little mini redemption that honestly wasn't really touched on very much. It just kind of happened. Like it wasn't like this big old thing. Like when he betrays Varric after finding out about Violet's torture and he leaves Vizgaiath with all of them, I literally yelled out loud, yes, thank God. Like I thought he was gonna tell Varys about Orisha and everything. Like it seemed like that's what Rebecca Yarros was like trying to like tease, like deter us from like thinking, oh, you know, he's gonna actually betray Bezgaiath and he's gonna be on Violet's side and whatnot. Like I was not expecting that. And then when he and Violet bond over the journals, like I know they're not besties. Cause like that belongs to Rhiannon, right? Violet and Rhiannon are besties. But it's nice to see him completely change how he was in the first book. Like he was annoying as hell. He was so freaking annoying. And so now it's nice to see like him be normal. Like he still worries about Violet, but it's not like excessive like it was in the first book. You know what I mean? We also meet Kat. Speaking of annoying characters, we also meet Kat. And girl, let me tell you, I wanted to wring her little neck at first. Like I feel like I need to have someone to hate in each book. Like last time it was Zane, and this time it was Kat for a while. Like she didn't really love Zayden. She just wanted his crown. So there was that whole drama with Violet. Also, does he even have a crown? Like officially? I know he's like, quote, the heir apparent. But does that mean he'll get a crown later? I guess we'll see. Anyway, Kat was super bitchy and annoying at the beginning. But after Violet saved her life with the whole like Stolas incident where she almost died and like got burned alive and shit, she became pleasantly sassy. Like I enjoyed her sass. She doesn't seem like she really cares about fighting for Zayden anymore after that whole Stolas issue, that whole thing happened, which is good because I don't think she'd be able to take on Violet. Let's be honest. She's kind of weak compared to Violet. Now, when Jack was discovered alive, let me tell you, I was absolutely gobsmacked. Like, how do you survive a whole ass mountain falling on you? Like, I knew his like whole buddy act was fake from the start, like how he was being all nice to Violet. Like the man just magically forgave Violet for killing him. Like, okay, sure, I'll pretend I believe that one. Also, he just straight up killed his dragon. I didn't think he was venom right off the rip. I just thought his like quote unquote resurrection like made him insane or something. Like all that mending just made him like nuts. And I thought like him killing his dragon was like a version of like offing himself. But no, bro didn't die. He just decided to kill his dragon to destroy the wards. Like, sure, his dragon was like the nicest dragon out there, but like, she didn't deserve to die like that. Like, I actually felt bad. Yo, and when Andarna was revealed to be the 7th dragon type, I didn't even think there was gonna be a 7th dragon type. Probably like most people. I just thought she was gonna be like a shiny black dragon. Like, she was just gonna be a little different. And I wonder if Violet's gonna develop a second signet and what that would be. Because remember, Andarna can't stop time anymore. So I'm assuming Violet will get another power from Andarna eventually, like as Andarna matures. I don't know. I touch on some theories about her signet later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But here's what's really important, okay? My love for Zayden Ryerson just grew in this book. His official like love confession to Violet just let me read you my favorite part, okay?
I love you. I'm in love with you. I have been since the night the snow fell in your hair and you kissed me for the first time. I'm grateful my life is tied to yours because it means I won't have to face a day without you in it. My heart only beats as long as yours does, and when you die, I'll meet Malik at your side.
Like, excuse me, Beach? Stop wooing me, you fictional man. And the throne scene, that shit was romantic and smexy, okay? The best of both worlds. The only thing that pissed me off about him was the whole
I'm open with you. I'll tell you anything, but you have to ask me first.
mindset that he had. Okay, he was valid, and I get why Violet got pissed, but like he was also valid for his reasonings as well. Like I'm a bit torn about that. Like, bro, I know you haven't been in a loving relationship before now, but that's not how it works. You don't just get to be like, I'll tell you anything, but you have to ask. Like you just tell. You just tell. That's what you do. I think it was valid either way. In keeping his second signet a secret from Violet. Like, he needed to know that he could fully trust her first. I mean, hello, he could die. Like, he could be executed if the wrong people found out. You know what I mean? So, it makes sense that he had to trust her 100% first. But what I don't understand is that if the mating bond between two dragons is so important and so sacred, how could Sigale keep that from Taryn? Like, why not just tell him and have him keep it a secret from Violet? Like the whole rebellion secret. Remember how Andarna and Taryn knew about it, but like Violet didn't, and like they kept it a secret. Why don't you just keep that a secret from Violet too? Like I didn't understand that part. The biggest plot twist of all was at the end where we find out that Zayden turned into a venom. Like, first of all, why? Like, I understand that Violet was dying and he thought that he needed to kill the sage to save her. But I mean, like, come on. She was imbuing the wards anyway. So she would have died anyway doing that. Him killing the sage just seems like such like a waste. He knew that she was dying because she was imbuing the sage, the wards with her magic, right? So I don't see, I'm assuming like the sage, right? Because the sage was just like,
I'm gonna kill her eventually.
and so he just got mad or whatever and just decided to kill him. But like, what's going to happen with Sigale now because of that whole thing? I'm assuming like they're still bonded, even though Sigale was like, don't you dare, you know, turn into a venom and like suck up all the magic from the ground. I don't know. Can she like change her mind? Can Sigale change her mind about being bonded? I don't. I just have a lot of questions about that. Honestly, this book was like kind of, I don't want to say, this might be a hot take, okay? But this book was like kind of boring for me. Like up until Violet's torture scene and them leaving the college. Like I just felt like before that, they didn't really do all that much. It was just kind of like normal war college stuff that we saw in the first book, except less so because they already did all that stuff, like threshing and whatnot. Anyway, let's get into the theories that I have. Well, theories/questions for Onyx Storm before I read it. So let's talk about them to finish this video off, okay? First theory, okay, is that I think Brennan is a venom. Like, that's how he was able to live when he was like resurrected by that one guy, Nolan, whatever his name is. I know it sounds crazy, but like, hear me out. He doesn't assist Bethsgyeth until the wards are already down. Brennan, in what appears to be a giant shift of character, refuses to return to the school's aid, right? Even though civilians would die and like the venom could get a hold of like the dragon hatching grounds, the Veil, right? It's apparently like a really big deal, and he made a big deal about his mother letting innocents die and whatnot. But then he refuses to help when Violet mentions that a bunch of innocents are gonna die. Huh? I know the whole Nowlin thing happened, but I think it's kind of weird that he doesn't seem to be torn up about the dude. Like, I feel like he's barely mentioned. And that could be just because, like, oh, it's so traumatic and whatnot. I don't want to mention him. But, like, I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. He's, like, never mentioned. That leads into my second theory that Nowlin isn't really dead. Maybe he turned into a venom instead. And that's how he was able to save Brennan. Like, he just sucked up a bunch of magic from the earth and whatnot and resurrected Brennan. Because I'm assuming resurrection for a mender would just take a bunch of power, you know what I mean? When Violet like mentioned Nowlin to Taryn, he was just like,
We will not talk about the one who came before.
like Taryn doesn't even like act like he died. So I just think it's kind of suspicious. I also think that Nowlin and Brennan might have been a couple because let's be honest, what kind of friend just up and sacrifices their life for you? Let's be real here. Xaden would do it for Violet and vice versa, but Violet didn't do it for Liam or anything. Not that she should have, but I'm just like making a point. Like she didn't like take up extra magic or whatever from the grounds and like use it to kill the venom and turn herself venom and everything for Liam, you know? Why would Nowlin do it for Brennan? So I don't have definitive proof that they were a couple, but it's just like I feel it. It's something I feel deep down. My third theory is that either Xaden's mother is a venom or Violet's dad was a venom. Now, we don't know much of anything about Xaden's mom, just that she got up and left when he was young, right? We know that venom have a hierarchy system going on, the sage being the highest in the chain that we've seen. There's one higher than sage called Maven. Now, Mavens have never been captured or studied, so I'm gonna guess that Xaden's mom is a Maven and that he'll meet her eventually because he's like newly venom and everything. I don't know. That's just what I think might happen. Now, Violet's dad being a venom is more of a stretch than Xaden's mom, but then again, Nolan looked into curing venom at her mother's request. So like Lilith Sorengale was like, I need help curing venom. You know what I mean? She said that to Nolan. And I think that she requested this for her husband's sake. Her mother hid what her husband had become because she left him, and so the kids never found out. Nolan knew that Jack would succumb because of his work with Violet's father. I think that Nolan will be like a key piece of like past information. I think Violet's mom was almost killed by like, the fever that took her when she was pregnant with Violet. I think it was actually Violet's father who almost accidentally killed his pregnant wife and unborn child. Like, her mother just tells Violet that the fever stole your strength and coloring. And we know that the Venom's power, like the sucky powers that they have, leave like a gray icy coloring on your skin. So I think that Violet's dad drained Violet's mom while she was pregnant with Violet, because that's why she almost died and whatnot. And that's also why they moved to Biscayeth and stopped bouncing from post to post, where there were wards and everything. Like, the wards were the strongest at Biscayeth. And I think it was like the only thing that could weaken Violet's dad enough to control his like venom side. And like Nolan was also there to like help him. I don't think he was like evil though. Like, I think that he was trying to like cure it. Like, he just wanted to be cured so he wouldn't like drain his family or whatnot. And the Sorrengail siblings seem to have really like fond memories of their father. So like, I don't think he was like evil. Like, cause in book 1, Violet says that her father became like reclusive towards the end. She also says that his heart gave out twice. Once after Brennan died, and then again like 2 years later. I think that his heart actually didn't give out. Like, I have a sad, sinking idea that Violet's mom was like forced to kill him or something. Even Violet herself says that her mom was like softer and kinder before like her father died. And if you guys know, if anything will harden a person, it's having to like mercy kill the love of your life in order to protect your children. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe Violet's dad was like trying to drain his kids or something. That was kind of crazy, but imagine if it's true later on. Like, I'll feel like the smartest little bean. No, my last theory is pretty simple. It's Violet's second signet. Like, I have a few theories about this one, like what it could possibly be. My first one is that she's a distance wielder. And that's only really because there hasn't been a distance wielder in centuries. And Lord knows that Rebecca Yarros likes making Violet to seem like she's so special and like not like other girls. Like Taryn, the most powerful dragon ever, like bonded to her, and she got this really badass lightning power. Like, she's just so special. So I feel like she could be a distance wielder. Another theory is that she can communicate with the dead. Since she was talking with Liam while being tortured, now that could have been her like mind going cray cray, or like how like she just used him to cope or whatnot. But it could have also been her second signet. Signets are based off what like the writers need, and Violet seems to need like information. She goes on and on about being like an information oriented person, about needing information to center herself, right? But I feel like also that one's probably not real true. She probably can't see the dead, because I feel like she would have known, like she would have felt the signet unlocking, like she felt her lightning one like come to her, you know what I mean? And lastly, my last theory about what her signet could be is I think she has some sort of like siphoning power, like more like the venom siphoning power, maybe because of her dad. Maybe her dad was also like a venom and then it got passed down or something. And this is based off what Violet's mom was saying when she was like when she was pregnant with Violet, how the fever stole her strength. Maybe it was actually Violet who caused the fever, like being, I don't know, half venom or something. I don't know. That one's kind of crazy, but Rebecca Yarros has a thing for making us all be gobsmacked at like a plot twist. So frankly, who knows what this bitch's signet's gonna be? I just hope it's like badass, you know? Anyway, thank you for watching and listening to me ramble on and on about my thoughts for this book. Let me know down in the comments who your favorite character is and why, because I'm genuinely curious. Let me know who you hate, because I'm also curious on who you guys don't like. But now that I've reread the first 2 books, I can finally start Onyx Storm. That will be my next book talk video, so make sure to subscribe so you can stay updated. And I will see you all next time. Bye!